Uncensored is a podcast where real-life coders share their stories, best practices, and talk about coding and beyond. Coders Uncensored podcast, real-life coders,
best practices,
coding and beyond. Coding and beyond. This is Coders Uncensored.
Welcome, coders and people. I am Angel Cora. I'm the senior coder of the group.
And I'm Travis T, the newest coder on the block.
And Mandy's in the back right in front of me, producing and making sure we all look good. And this is Coders Uncensored. So this week's topic is code and games. It's actually very exciting. We get to dig a little deeper into the gaming world, and we get to hear from our featured coder more about this. We're currently live streaming on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Send in questions, comments, and we'll read them at the end of the show. Manny will probably show it on screen and let us know whenever there is a comment. If you're listening to us through the podcast, thank you so much, like always, for tuning in. But before we jump into the good stuff and before we jump into the code, let's talk about our week like we always do, Travis. I feel like it's been a while since we truly talked about our week, right? How was your week?
The week was busy. If I had to pick one word to describe the week, it was focused. So I got to focus on a project, and everything I ever learned with HTML and CSS, I had got to use it. So I was focused, like I was telling you, I lost track of time, just in there coding, just going over stuff and trying to make it as clean as possible. So it definitely was a good week to focus and get back to like the basics and just use everything with coding. How's your week?
It was good. If I'm too hard on you when I code review, please feel free to go ahead and shit on me right here, right now.
I mean, you talk a lot of shit. You talk a lot of shit, but you are the nicest asshole I know. I will say that.
I am known for that.
Very detailed. And then it's like, you do this one thing where like, I might not know the answer, but you're like, are you sure? Like, you remember Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Like, is that your final answer? I'm like, I've been doing this for 3 hours. Yes, it's my final answer. Tell me what I messed up on. But other than that, I do like the way that you lead by example. So that's a great way to learn and code and stuff. But you just, because you're so skilled, some things that come to your mind, you just think, you forget to say it. You just like, yeah, then I'm like, whoa. 5 steps ago, what did you just do? It's hard to remember like being a beginner again. You know what I'm saying? But I think this week you remembered when I was like, you was remembering these different things. So
we were able.
Yeah. Anybody who's new at coding, just remember that like there's different levels to it, and you always can learn more. Like, I learned a lot this week, but I also I did show you I do know a bunch of shit too.
You do. And I will say we started a site from scratch, right? And we built it in maybe 2 to 3 days. Of course, it's a one pager. It's not like an intuitive kind of site, but we were able to design it, develop it all in a matter of a few days. So it was definitely eye-opening because you helped me throughout the whole entire thing. You set up the whole site and ready. If you hear my Slack, I apologize. I hear it going off. I'm completely ignoring it for now. But yeah, no, it's been that type of week for me as well, getting back into the swing of things after being on the road for like a month. We were on the road and doing the show live from Charlotte, from Orlando, Kissimmee. So it's nice to be back in HQ. It's nice to be back in Atlanta, I'm not gonna lie. Hey. Mandy's throwing up the A over there in the background too. One day I'm going to figure out how to connect cameras, and have the whole full setup so people can see her as she tries to make me laugh behind my laptop. So
right,
if you see me smiling. Yeah.
If
you see me smiling for no reason, it's because of her. But yeah, let's dig deeper into the topic at hand, right? So like I said, the topic for this week is code and games. Do you have any experience with gaming? Travis?
No experience with gaming. I've made some game audio before in the past.
Okay.
Also University. I made a lot of songs for game audio. So that was something I did in the past. It was the only like kind of connection I had with gaming. Was that played games a little bit, but I went to school with a lot of gamers because they have a game development program at Full Sail. So when I was engineering, they had the gamers. They would wear the trench coats, wouldn't talk to anybody, and that's just what it was.
Yeah.
But as far as like on the coding aspect, all I know is like some games are made with C#, some can be C++. That's all I've ever heard about gaming.
Right. You know, it's definitely evolved because I know you could. I mean, not into the level where our featured coder is, you know, from, but like you can make some simple games with just JavaScript and HTML. Now, they're of course they're web-based games. You know, they're not friggin', I don't know. I can't think of any right now. I can't think of any. Metal Gear Solid, just because I was talking about it the other day. It's not as intuitive as that, but yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm in the same knowledge level as you, so I'm excited. Very looking forward to get educated on this topic.
Oh, yeah.
But before we jump into all the good stuff, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor.
Stay informed on health and laws regarding cannabis, from agriculture and business to entertainment and fun topics. Geek Cannabis is your online source for news and updates about cannabis, CBD, and hemp worldwide. GeekCannabis.com.
Completely missed that comment from Natasha, who said go Mandy. So yes, go Mandy. So with no further ado, let's introduce our featured coder. She is the Marluxia of code. Yes, I just used that. The master of game development, the pink monster, Elisabeth.
Hello. Nice to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Elisabeth, can you please do a quick little intro about yourself before we jump into the coder question, so anybody listening and watching can know a little bit more about you?
Yes, I was previously a chemical process engineer for about 8 years, and within the last few years, I switched to game development. I am a self-taught developer and currently work at Nintendo in the PTD, debug department. So that's what I do now.
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm sure, you know, we have this new format where we don't see this or the explain the source code or the other one. So I'm excited what Mandy has brought to the table for us to discuss. And I really hope there's going to be a Nintendo question in there, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out here curious about this.
Yes, I'm excited.
But before we get into that, let's jump into the coder questions. Mandy, you think you could run that for me? And Travis, would you mind starting with the first one?
Okay, so Elisabeth, you spoke about this briefly, but what did you do exactly before pivoting into the gaming world? Could you give some more details on that?
Yes, so I worked in the cannabis industry. Woo! I made cash for a living, and you know, I absolutely loved it. My job there was basically a facilities manager. I ran the entire facility. I ran supercritical CO2 machines, molecular distillation units, ethanol units. I ran a lab, trained and worked production. You wear many hats in the cannabis industry. So that's where I worked, and I did that for a really long time. Obviously, there's a lot of things that are still in a very gray area. So it's very hard to work in that kind of industry, especially with so many people still in prison. The government's profiting off of things. So it was a very hard place for me to be scientifically when the laws are really just not there yet. And then with the pandemic, it was deemed an essential business while people were still in prison. And that just did not sit with me. I really struggled with that. And I was consulting with a lot of companies. But yeah, so I kind of did a lot in the industry, but I mainly did extraction. So I took flour and put it in a column and, ran solvent through it, got a crude oil, and then took that crude and refined it to, a distillate or, butane hash oil, like a live resin or maybe a rosin or something like that. Really anything you could think of, I've made it. I've made it.
Scientist. Mad scientist.
Yes, absolutely.
That's amazing. I don't know I don't know what to say about that. I mean, like, that's fantastic.
If you ever need any recipes, I got you.
Yeah, for real, right? Like, wow. Yes, Amber Dawn. Much
Yes.
respect to Elizabeth for that.
I
Thank
definitely
you.
need some recipes.
Oh, for sure. I had so many ideas. Like I wanted to create my own bakery and just like business to create like actual food items. Cause you know, when you go to a shop and there's lots of candies and whatnot. Well, coming from Alaska, I, went fishing a lot. I grew up doing that. So I wanted to make like infused like reindeer sausage or like salmon and stuff like that. And I'm like, I want like real food and we're just not there yet. So
You kind of dropped another bomb there. You kind of said it real quickly about two things, actually, Alaska and reindeer sausage. So I'm probably going to circle back on that because if there's like cannabis infused reindeer sausage, like we need that as soon as possible.
Yes, I agree. Definitely.
So for the next question, tell us about your first experience developing with C++. I know you've mentioned that that's what you primarily use.
Mm-hmm.
How did it help you in the game development?
Well, I chose C++ because that is the game industry standard. And so, most early games and game engines are already written in C++. So when you're developing new games, it's not always possible or really feasible to develop on new platforms. And so I'm sure you guys have seen time and time again of like code being taken, just like old code and being upgraded, rewritten with improvements. And also C++ is an object-oriented programming language. And it's one of the most useful concepts in C++ because like you think of gaming, right? And you have to create objects in the program code. So these objects are used to create and control things that appear on the player screen. And so like if data types offered by C++ were the only data types you could use, controlling the player would be extremely difficult, right? So using like data types in C++, they represent things that you would see on the screen. So like, let's say you have a fire breathing monster, right? And so to effectively like control this monster, you need to define the variable monster in the code. And then this variable would store all the information needed to represent this monster in the program. And this information could include like the monster's position or how far it could breathe the fire, or like, let's say the monster has to consume a certain amount of resources to breathe the fire a certain distance, right? So you have to be able to control all of that. And C++ allows you to do it. It allows you to get down on such a low level where you can control everything. So that's why I chose it. And it's helped me because that's just what the industry uses. And that's, you think of like Unreal Engine, which is a really strong game engine, which is used with C++ and, blueprinting and whatnot. So that is why I use it personally.
Wow. I do have a quick question about that. How, because, object-oriented programming, that's what we do in JavaScript a lot. How massive are these files? Because I can only imagine, like, let's say Monster has it. Monster probably has like thousands beyond thousands of of objects. Is that like accurate to think?
The files are huge. Like I wouldn't say they're as big as like C# files. Like C# files typically like really, really big. So obviously the compile time does take a while, but once it's compiled, it runs faster than any other language. Like it is super fast. And it's really important when games have a high frame rate. And, like you want that fast runtime, especially when you need like a high speed response. So yeah, lots of files, but I mean, you can really compile things down and make it smaller. So it works out.
It checks out.
Yeah.
Wow. So the next question I have is that, we know you're using the standard C++, but if C++ wasn't an option, what other program language would you prefer to develop the games with?
Oh, C#.
C#. Okay.
Definitely. That's the other game industry standard, which uses Unity, which is another very popular game engine. And honestly, like if you're not doing AAA games, C# is probably the best way to go. It's like much more user friendly and they have incredible documentation. Like C++, horrible documentation. It is so old. It is so hard to find anything. Like, oh my gosh, what a struggle. But C#, because it's open source and it has all these free programs, there is so much documentation. There's so much resources and help online already. Honestly, I should be using C# more, and a lot of developers have told me I should learn. So that will be my next thing I'll focus on. But and Unity runs on so many platforms as well. So definitely C#.
Okay, because you mentioned the documentation for C++. Before this, I looked it up, and I didn't understand anything. It was missing. I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "Okay," but I thought it was because I didn't know. So because you use it and you said it, I'm like, "Okay, I'm not crazy." I was like, "It's nothing here."
Yeah, no, it is so hard to develop anything in C++ because you go across something like that's a little bit different than you're used to seeing. And like, I'll Google something on Stack Overflow and it's like 10 plus years old. I'm like, oh, good.
Everybody on Stack Overflow was arguing because there was like, it's nothing there. So they're all arguing like, well, I use this. And someone's like, just use C#. And I'm like, all right, forget it.
Yeah, exactly.
So for my question, we talked before the show a few times, and you mentioned that you do use Unreal Engine in your development. So how would you explain how you use Unreal Engine to someone who's beginning? So in other words, how would you explain Unreal Engine to us?
So what I tell people is it's an engine, right? Think of it like a car, and I always think of like, we always see those memes like front end, back end, right? So I think of like the shell of the car is the front end side. And then the engine is like Unreal Engine. Like that's what's going to have your physics, rendering based systems, graphics, everything that you need to actually get this program up and running is the engine. And so a game engine basically is a high powered library that provides, this high level functionality. Like physics, like I said, rendering, resource handling is another one, and like game entity management, which is really important. And so like making an entire game can be like really cumbersome, right? And most of the time it's really impractical to do it on your own. So using an engine that's already available, well documented, everyone uses it. We see most AAA games nowadays made in a game engine such as Unreal. And so that's where you really want to focus on developing. So that's what I tell people is it's like, these are the tools basically available already for you. So you don't have to build them yourselves.
Gotcha. In certain ways, it's kind of like a framework, kind of, not the right term, but like, it's kind of like that outer shell that has.
I know what you mean. Yeah. I think of it like a garage, like a tool shed or something, right? It's like instead of building your own tool shed, you walk in and all the tools are there for you.
Already set up for you?
Yep.
Okay.
That's Unreal Engine.
You just mentioned that building a game is like, it's cumbersome, it's tedious, it's a lot, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what part of that long life cycle of building a game is your favorite part? What do you enjoy most in game development?
Honestly, that's such a hard question because I love seeing it from start to finish. I currently work in like the post-production phase. So, in testing and after everything's together, we're basically the longest part, the hardest. Also, production is really difficult. But I'd say my favorite is pre-production. And the pre-production stage is when the planning of the game is done. So this is where designers will come in and this will do most of their work. And my favorite part is the brainstorming. Like I'm highly analytical and logical. So like that's my favorite part because we get to break down everything about the game. It's like we get to map out what's going on. We get to think about the ideas of the game and write down everything that we want to incorporate in the game. And that's my favorite because it's kind of like putting your dreams into a practical, sense and reality and, start working on prototypes and stuff. So that's my favorite.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm right now actually going completely off script here, but as a game developer, I mean, do you feel like you, like imagine games in your sleep in sense of like, do you have like passion projects? You're like, oh, I would love to create this and it's my vision and it's my characters, or do you just code?
Oh my God, too much. I wish I could shut my brain off. Like I have a whole list of notes in my phone of games and ideas. And like, I'll be in the shower or I'll be like at a dance class or something. And I have an idea and I'm like, gotta write this down right now. Like, oh my gosh, it doesn't stop. Like, I'm like, shut up, brain. It like doesn't fucking stop. It's terrible. But yes, I have so many ideas. And honestly, a lot of people do in the game industry. And that's one of the hardest things that I tell people is you have to take an idea and simplify it. Because, people come up to me and they have these grand, beautiful ideas. They're so complex. And when you actually talk to them about coding, people who aren't programmers, they're like, wait, what? like, okay, you want this cool fighting mechanic, but you have to code that. You have to move through this world. You have to deal with collision and graphics and all these different things. And once you start realizing all of these mechanics that come into play when developing, your game becomes much more simplified.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for all that. I mean, like, shit, I learned a lot.
I'm glad.
So in this next segment, we want to learn more about you. We're going to ask you a series of questions and you have to choose one. So instead of this or that, we call this if and if. All right. So let's go ahead and Mandy's going to throw the first one up and she's dancing over here.
She's like, oh my God.
PS1
GameCube.
Yep.
GameCube.
PS1 versus GameCube.
GameCube. Oh man, you know what? This is actually excellent. Excellent. Hold up. All right. I know this won't be on the podcast. I still have my PS1.
Wow.
That's right. From when I was a child. My GameCube somewhere, but there's my PS1. Yes, I love the Sony systems. Like I have all of them. I love them. But GameCube, Super Smash Melee all day. Like that was my love as a child. Like I grinded that game. I destroyed people in that game. So, GameCube all day.
Nice. I do have to say, I think we again talked earlier this week, and yes, I remember playing GameCube, and I remember playing. It wasn't Dino Crisis. It was vampire. It was a lady vampire, and she was half human, and she fought against Nazis, I believe. Blood Rain. I remember playing on.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, Blood Rain was the one I played on GameCube a lot.
So cool.
Yeah. So, Manny, throw on the second one. Travis, go for it.
PC games versus console games.
Oh, man. God damn it, guys. God damn it. Like, what the fuck? Okay. It's hard because, you have so many generations, right? Where everything was like, you had these like console exclusive games. And now with, next gen, like things are starting to cross on PC. And when I worked on the Xbox Series X and S consoles, their whole thing was to have next gen games be able to play on PC. And I consider myself a console gamer for a long time. I play my Switch regularly, so I am very console gamer still, but I actually play most games on PC. I think nowadays, like PCs honestly are just stronger. You have better graphics cards, you have better frame rates and storage, and it's just better. Sony exclusives, I agree. Yeah, I love the Sony exclusive games. And then Microsoft just acquired, Bethesda. So that's kind of hard for me because I'm a huge Skyrim fan. So we'll see how that goes. But that's hard. I'm gonna say console just because I grew up playing on the consoles and some of my favorite games are all console exclusive. So they're on PC now though.
Right. I have to say the same thing. I don't think I've ever really played PC. No, I'm lying. I played Warcraft and what was the other one? Carmageddon. God, that's old. But that was the only ones I played. Travis, do you play at all?
Well, let me tell you, I played several PC games from the age of about 4 to 12. And my favorite was Carmen Sandiego.
Oh, yes.
You don't know nothing about Carmen Sandiego, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I had the skills with the Oregon Trail and all that too. So, I was playing a lot of that, through first and second grade and stuff. And then we moved on to the consoles where we got that first Nintendo and then Nintendo 64. When Donkey Kong came out, now I'm not even good at games. I play and my brothers, they're real good at games. So I would just like get to a certain point when I knew I was about to die. let them play and then just watch. You know, that was the thing.
Oh,
So.
that's awesome. I have two brothers, and we struggled. We had to set timers. We would fight for like player one. You know, it's like I'm playing now. It's my turn. So.
Yep. All right. Problem nowadays is you can't buy a graphics card, which is true. I did see that. Mandy, we're ready for the next one. Ooh. Go ahead.
Oh.
Fall Guys versus Animal Crossing.
I mean,
yeah.
Animal Crossing, 100% all day. I love I love Animal Crossing so much that I have an Animal Crossing case for my Switch. Like, I'm obsessed. That game is just amazing. Like, I absolutely love that game. I'm building my little island. I'm actually rebuilding an island, so it looks like hot garbage right now. It's like a straight up dumpster fire. You know, I have items everywhere. But definitely Animal Crossing. I've played Fall Guys like a few times. It's just not for me. I love Animal. That's my thing.
Travis, what we had to do is we got to set up a time, come over the house. Let's play Fall Guys. Mandy and I played it. I think when it first came out, it was like free for PlayStation. I remember, and I remember we smoked the fattest bowl, and we were just so hooked on it. We just did not stop playing for it was hours. And I remember my very first time I played it, I won, and I never got to do it again.
Oh, that's awesome!
But again, I've just never been able to win again. It's one of those things where it's like, what's the other game that there's a lot of people randomly shooting each other?
So many. There's so many.
I know. I know, right? It's like a battle royale, and it's from 100, you have to get a first place. Fortnite, thank you.
Fortnite, yes. I was about to say, I'm like Valorant, Fortnite. There's so many. Overwatch.
Yeah, it's so hard.
Fortnite.
No, I gave it like a good solid, like 2 hours one day, and I was like, that's it, whatever. Like I'm not part of this like new gen kind of shoot 'em up 100 versus.
Yeah, I've never really been. I just I love RPGs. Like I love being in control of my character and kind of building up my character or like the world around me. I love that.
Oh yeah. All right, Mandy. Next question. Oh, best game to lose friendships. If that's a question for us, I would definitely say Uno and Monopoly.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Monopoly.
Monopoly,
my God. My family play. Oh, it's bringing back trauma. I can't. Oh, Jesus Christ. No.
Yeah, no. Those two games, and they're not even console based.
No, board games count though. That's where games started. Game design really starts on paper. So yeah, and Risk and Monopoly were big fighting games in my family. Like we would just yell at and scream at each other.
Absolutely. Mandy, is this the last one or one more? Two more. Oh crap. All right, throw it on the screen.
Oh, I already know. Like, see, I'm such a heady and like pothead. Like, oh my God. Cinderella 99.
So the question was it Pineapple Express versus Cinderella 99? And that's a strain. And
yes.
What was your answer?
Cinderella 99.
Cinderella 99.
So remember, guys, I'm going to just educate you real quick.
Yes,
it's not strain. This is not like bacteria, right? It's cultivar. So that's the actual term. So because you're talking about the flower, you're talking about the actual like chemotype, or you could also call it the chemotype, but that's like the chemical profile of the plant if you're talking about terpenes or something. But yeah, Cinderella 99 is going to hit more in your body, right? It's going to connect both to your CB1 and CB2 receptors. And then Pineapple Express is, hits up higher on the nose. So it's going to be more kind of a head high CB1 receptor kind of thing. So I love Cinderella 99. That's one of my go-tos.
I typed that in. That's going to be for later.
No worries.
I'm straight up ordering as we're talking.
Put that in the notes. In the
notes.
All right, Manny. Now we're going for the last one. Travis, if you can read it out loud.
All right. So it's anime versus cartoon.
Oh, fuck. Holy fuck. These are the hardest. Really? Oh, why do you do this to me? Do you hate me? Oh my god. Oh, I just like want to curse. Okay, sorry.
It's uncensored. Go ahead.
Holy shit, guys. Okay, I love animation, like absolutely, like love cartoons. I have to say though, as I've gotten older, I've really loved anime. I wish I had watched it when I was a kid. I'm gonna go with anime. Like I love anime. I get so into anime. The stories are great. The characters, like some of my favorite animes are like Death Note, Hunter x Hunter, Elfen Lied, Berserk, all those things. Like I love them. Love it. I could go on. What about you guys? Do you like anime?
Travis, you want to start it out?
Anime is okay, but see, I grew up on the real cartoons, on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Oh yeah,
Planet, he's our hero. Gonna take pollution down to zero. You know what I mean? That's where I come from, and I can't fight that. Like Thundercats was just like, you can't beat Thundercats. Lionel, Chitara, come on, like.
Right.
What can you do with that? Now, I will tell you, when I became a teenager, I did get more into the Naruto and the Dragon Ball Z's and everything like that. And then One Piece came out a little bit older. I'm like, okay, it's some good stories now. But I guess the nostalgia with going back to Thundercats,
gotcha.
Ninja Turtles is just like I can't fight it, man. DuckTales, come on.
Yeah. I have to say the same.
It's a hard question. It's hard because they're so different.
It's disrespectful.
I'll leave now. Stream over. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, I have to say the same because I feel like I grew up with Justice League Unlimited and Teen Titans. So
oh yes, yeah. I loved those.
Yeah, it definitely is nostalgia, and I just remember growing up and being scared of anime. I don't know why. I just remember just like, oh no, anime's for adults. But yeah, sure. No, I had to go with cartoon just because of that. I don't know. Have you guys seen the new one, the new Invincible show?
Mm-mm.
I don't know if I feel like you classify that under cartoons. If anybody's watching or right now, and if you guys seen Invincible, let me know how it, because I want to make sure I'm naming it correct. But it is freaking amazing. It's an Amazon original, so if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's actually
okay. I definitely will. I need more recommendations. Thank you.
And then someone wrote, I didn't think of Pokemon as an anime at the time. Is it anime?
Kinda, yeah. I would think so.
I'm so uneducated, so I'm sorry for everyone if I'm completely.
No, you're good. I get where they're coming from. When I was a kid, like I thought it was just like an animated kind of cartoon as well, but it's kind of under the anime category. So,
Brian writes, "Think, Mark, think." That is an Invincible quote. So definitely, you'll remember this moment once you watch it. So let's jump up to the next segment. The next segment is called Explain the Source Code. So we're going to pull, not we, because Mandy has taken this from us, and Mandy has been doing a fantastic job producing. Mandy pulled some pictures from your social channels. And we asked a simple question. What's the backstory? And what's the source code behind those pictures?
Okay.
All right, Mandy, let's throw up the first one. Let's see. Great. So here we see Elisabeth hugging the mushroom. I know it has a name.
Toad. It's Toad.
Oh my God. I don't know why I said
Mega Toad.
So yes, she is hugging Toad behind a car in a parking lot, in a very desolate parking lot, I might add, because there's no cars around. So it's definitely not like a Walmart or anything like that. It is a random parking lot, hugging it with such affection. So we asked the question, Elisabeth, please explain the source code.
So that parking lot is the Nintendo headquarters parking lot. That is where I park when I walk into work. And that was my very first purchase at the Nintendo employee store. I bought a giant plushie Toad, and my coworker took that picture because I was actually being like such a weirdo nerd. And I was like hugging it. I was literally just hugging it outside of my car. And he's like, okay, I need to take a picture of you with it. And so he took a picture of me with it. But yeah, that's the backstory.
Wait. So you were hugging it before the picture, not for the picture.
Nope, not for. I was like
We
before.
caught you.
I literally brought it from the store, and you see the the car open. I was putting it in my trunk, but I was like squeezing it, and I was just like hugging on it, like just being a fucking weirdo. And my coworker was like laughing at me, and he was like, "Do you want a picture?" And I was like, "Yes, please." And then he got that picture.
Okay.
So that's the backstory.
Hey,
That's
great
amazing.
story.
Yeah, I actually hug them when I come home from work. I'm like, "Hi guys," and my roommate's like, "They're not real. They can't." I'm like, "No, they're real to me." So it's fine.
Everybody needs somebody sometime.
That's
They're
right.
huggable. Like it literally says in the description that they're huggable plushies. So like, you gotta test it out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Let's throw up the second one up. All right.
Oh God, I knew it.
So here we see. I understand now.
I didn't understand that first.
Yeah, it took me a while. So we see Elisabeth on the bottom right portion of the picture. She is, I assume, mooning the entire city of whatever city that she's in, with a nice fire pit. Very gorgeous moonlight, by the way. The dusk in this picture is fantastic. And yeah, we asked, what's the backstory on this?
If I drank probably one more glass, I would have definitely mooned the entire city of Seattle. That's what that is. Yeah, it was like an after work moment. I was hanging out with two friends of mine, and we're just talking shit and smoking so much weed. And I did that. I was just like shaking my ass and like bending over the chair, being a weirdo as always. And that's the picture they snapped with me. I'm always doing that. I don't know why, but
Like
I was wasted in that picture.
half sit, half twerk type thing. Just
I was like, I'm still an engineer, even if I do this. And then I was like shaking my ass, I'm like, I was like screaming. I bet the whole city heard me that night. I was a riot.
That's amazing. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. It took me a while to like see the picture, see you on the bottom right. I was like looking. I'm like, where is she in this? Oh, there she is.
Bent over, baby. Come at me.
I was like, I know a twerk when I see it. That's a twerk move.
Yep. Like, here it is. I was just warming my ass, with the fire. It was just a wonderful evening, I don't know.
Amazing. Great Kodak moment. All right, Mandy. Let's throw the third one up. All right. So I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's a trick illusion here, but I see on the screen, left hand side, you see the computer. There's a cool screensaver with, I assume it's a robot, female robot with cool red hair. I'm sorry, not red, fuchsia. I'm gonna say it's fuchsia. In the dark, I really don't know if you kind of do a special appearance here behind, and I don't know if it's gonna scare me. I don't know if it's one of those gifts that kind of up here in the background. Please, Elisabeth, explain that source code.
So yeah, I do my gaming like late at night. So you can kind of see me on the right side. You see like the edge of my headphones. So the screen is actually Cyberpunk 2077. And so I was creating my character, and in that post especially, I was discussing like just starting the game. I had it on my PC, and I was discussing like the bugs and kind of just like bugs in games in general. I enjoyed the game for what it was, and I understand how hard the developers work. I know I got a lot of shit. It was pulled from the store, etc. But I enjoyed it, and it was really fun to create my character and make a really cool cyberpunk badass, kicking ass in the city, taking names, stealing cars, shooting cops. Loved it.
I have to. I'm still trying to get a PS5. So the moment I do get it, I really do want to buy it because I'm dying to play that game.
I'd play it on PC. I know you said you're a console gamer, but that is definitely a PC game, 100%. Yeah? It's not optimized for consoles, I don't think yet anyway, or like streaming really. It's definitely made for PCs, I promise. Like I ran it on my PC, it ran my graphics card. I have a really good graphics card, and it ran it at 100%. Like when I first got it, they came out with hot fixes that have reduced that a little bit, but it uses your entire computer. Like it runs it really hard. So it's going to run that system really hard as well.
Wow, wow. So at this portion of the show, the stream, we go jump into our QA. So if you have any questions, anybody watching, feel free to drop as many questions as you want. We'll read them out loud right now. And yeah, let's run the credits for that. And I'll be clicking the ones that I see from my end. And most of them are a lot of comments, right? So one I do want to point out, because I keep seeing it. Someone did answer my question about Invincible. It's adapted from a graphic novel, so it's sort of its own genre. Kind of has the animation style that reminds me of Venture Bros. So want to throw that out there.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm really excited now to watch this. Amazon, you said?
Amazon, yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna watch it tonight. I am.
It is brutal. Like, it's been a while since I've actually like turned my eyes away, because it was brutal.
Give it to me, baby. I love that shit. I do. I love it. Okay. I just want to like sink your teeth. I know. I have this dark side, you know. This is why I'm in games. I can create my own reality.
It was definitely one of the only shows. I feel like, you know what? No, I'll take it back. There's one scene in The Walking Dead, and it was when Negan first used Lucille. I don't know if you guys watched The Walking Dead, but it's the first time he uses his bat to smash people's head in. And it was one of the few times I looked away from Walking Dead. So think of it, this only multiply it by 100. And even though it's a cartoon, I can still not like see it. It's brutal.
Yes, I love that.
Mm-hmm. So here's one. I didn't think of Pokemon as an anime at the time, which is, wait, did I feel like I brought this one up already.
Yeah, but we discussed it a little bit. But we can keep talking about it. Yeah, Pokemon, like, that's awesome. Oh my gosh, Pokemon Snap just came out. People are losing their minds. I love it. All my coworkers at Nintendo talk about Pokemon. Like, they're always like, so many Pokemon. Like, oh my gosh, there's too many. There's so many Pokemon.
Never seen Pokemon in my life.
No, it's addicting. It's addicting. It's not bad.
They're so cute.
They really are. So, Sir Buitrago asked, why doesn't Nintendo ever have sales in their store? Haha. Mario Party is still full price. Big sad.
I cannot answer that for you. I am not sure. I do not work in that department, but probably because Nintendo is awesome and you deserve to have those games at full price.
Somebody
developers work really hard. You know, they're really well made. They have one of the strictest like testing standards in the world. You know, they also last for decades. Like, you think of Super Smash Melee, for example. Nintendo has been trying to shut these tournaments down for a long time, like for like decades at this point. Like, they have been trying to stop people, but people still keep finding like new beta, like new ways to beat the game, new move sets. Like, they still have crazy tournaments, and Nintendo's like, okay, we've already made another game, Super Smash Ultimate, right? You know, so like their games last for years. Like, even Animal Crossing, people still play the old ones. So, you know, it's worth the price in my opinion. But yeah, I just email them. I don't know. Sorry.
Email customer service.
Yeah.
Jake Me says, first episode is such a good slow burn, and I assume this is for Invincible. So give me a heads up on that. Okay. I do want before, because we should be wrapping up soon. I do want to ask, circle back and ask a question about Alaska. Just because I feel like a lot of people know it's a state, but they never know anybody from Alaska, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. And this is a little bit more of a personal question. How was it growing up? And I'm making it sound like it's, I don't know, like it's in the other side of the world. But like, did you want to become, now this is a two-parter, so I'm gonna actually condense the question a little bit more. How was it growing up in Alaska and still being so heavily focused in code or in game development or in loving cannabis?
Well, the cannabis culture up there has been around for forever. I mean, it's been legalized. It's actually the state that has had it legalized, like for medical patients, before any other state. Washington was the first state to have it recreationally legal with Initiative I-502. But Alaska, for example, has like if you're 21 or over, you can grow cannabis. There's no restrictions. Like Washington, you have to be a medical patient, and there's all these other restrictions. There's a huge cannabis community up there, and that's where it started for me. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, which is autoimmune disease. It's very similar to Crohn's when I was in high school, and so I've been using cannabis medically, and then I started cooking with it and making edibles. And I was like, I want to do this. And, everyone in the cannabis industry was in the black market, like, black market for life, right? Like that's just where it is. And, best cannabis in the world. Like they grow some of the best bud up there. I love it. It's incredible. I have really good friends actually that are opening facilities and doing extractions. And my friends would, give me live resin and we would do dabs. Like it's a huge cannabis community. In terms of coding, I got into that like a little bit in Alaska, but not really. It wasn't until I moved out of state. And then I realized that it was like a career. I didn't really grow up thinking like, oh, I could do this for a living. Like my parents were not one of those parents that were like, yeah, you could be in games. They're like, this is a waste of your fucking time. Like you are going to waste your life. And I'm like, okay, and then I obviously was educated and was like, oh, I'm just going to be in this career now. And now I can make money doing it. So it's great.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, unfortunately, we have to start wrapping up the show. Elisabeth, it was freaking amazing to have you on. Travis, it's always great to see you. So before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for watching. Don't forget to like us, subscribe us, if that's a thing. That is a thing. Yeah, that's a thing.
Like, subscribe, comment, share.
Like, subscribe, comment, all that good shit. Also to know if you listen on the podcast, review us, let us know if we suck, if we're awesome, whatever, we're cool. Travis, is there any final words you want to throw out?
Once again, Coders Uncensored, we thank you, Elisabeth. You are an example of what we want to put out here. Anybody can be in the world of coding, have a different background, doesn't matter, come and do your thing, like you said. So we're glad you came, and everybody, hey, let's just make something happen.
And Elisabeth, this is your time to plug anyone in, throw anyone's name out, tell someone to fuck off. Go ahead, do your thing.
Fuck off all the haters. I do what I want. I can smoke weed and be successful. Boss ass bitch. Thank you very much. You can follow me on Instagram at dev.mage. And please follow Coders Uncensored. They're amazing. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. Mandy, roll the credits. See you till next week.